Yo, hello everyone. It's been a while. I got a new mic. I hope that it sounds better than the headset mic I was using before. And here we have a Zefra control list today. Now, this plays pretty different from the version I usually play, and it's not as high ceiling. It basically revolves around Zefra Path, which only really works in a pure variant since you need to have two Zefra scales, which already locks you into pen summoning only Zefras, and it will shuffle back all non-Zefra monsters on activation. Basically, the whole upside of this is neither player can special summon monsters except from the hand or the extra deck. This means you can still pen summon normally from your hand, from your extra deck. You can synchro summon from the extra deck, link summon from the extra deck, special summon something from your hand, but it stops a lot of other things. This was really good quite a ways back when the first Duelist Cup came out. When prank kids were really good, they would summon from deck, and their deck would just get invalidated by Path. Auroradon, back when Halqifibrax was still legal. So many decks are going into that, but Halqifibrax can't summon from deck. Auroradon can't summon tokens. Sword Soul can't summon tokens, also gets turned off completely. Unfortunately for us, or at least for this variant of the deck, afterwards we had to deal with things like Branded and Tearlaments, which really don't care about these restrictions at all. And now we're in a meta with Pearly and Kashtira. And I think this makes for really interesting games since they do summon a lot from deck or banished or graveyard, which all gets stopped by Path, but they also can still play the game normally, albeit a bit weaker. Pearly just makes a 6-mat Zeus and cucks us. Cash still has all their main deck monsters they can just summon from the hand, try to banish things, and basically this playstyle just becomes you try to get Path on the field and you try to get a counter trap to protect it or something, and then maybe if you like hard draw another disruption, or if you have like a good hand, you can do some of the more mechanical plays like Croco Dragon for a maxi or for a droll. You can use 9 pillars to pop your Zefranyu to search Zephyr War, which you can just activate from your hand, even on your opponent's turn, since you have 2 Zephyr cards in your pendulum zones at that point. So, very interesting play lines here, and there's a lot of really niche tech you can run. What I'm doing here is, this isn't my idea, but I really, really like it. It's Deep Sea Diva to summon however you're supposed to pronounce this thing. Basically, you get to banish 2 cards from the top of your opponent's deck, which gives you deck knowledge, and then this thing can level modulate. So if you don't, this makes a 5, which is dang long on the spot. You can also double Diva's level for a 4, giving you a 7. Right now I'm running Wind Pegasus Ad Ignister just for a non-targeting back row pop. Another card that could be really good is Black Rose Dragon. Black Rose Dragon also has the synergy of if you use Zefraxi and one of your 4s to make it, you can actually chain block Black Rose Dragon with Oracle of Zefra, which would let you play through things like a Baron Negate if they were holding it, or Gamma or something. Of course, it doesn't help against Imperm, right? But as a consideration, it just completely board wipes. You can also just board wipe off of this if they don't have negates, and then set up afterwards. Very powerful. You can also double his level here, so he'll be a 6 plus a 2 becomes an 8. This lets you make something like Omega to hand rip. You can go into Axel Synchro Stardust Dragon, let the Reborn this go straight into Baron off of it. There's a lot of different plays you can go for. You could also run other 8s if you wanted to, maybe like Draco Berserker or actual Stardust Dragon. There's an argument to be made for running Boxia, especially since you can make it off of Denglong, but it never really came up for me because most of the situations I would not be making it using Yang Zings, so that's kind of awkward. And you can also, since you double your level here to make a 6, you can also use this as one of the materials for Sheridan, which is another one of the techs I really love about this variant. Basically, you can make Horus pretty easily. You can use Diva or Gamma. You can get Gamma out off E-Tele as well. And then any 4 to make this, or you can use Zefra into 3. And this card is so good at board breaking since you get to use both of these effects here. If your non-tuner is an effect pendulum monster, and you can chain block either of the effects if you want to as well. So one of them lets you target a face-up card on the field and just negate it permanently, and the other one, your opponent chooses one monster they control and gives control of it to you, but it can't attack this turn. And this lets you get rid of things that can't be destroyed, like Shangri-Ira, or actually I don't know if it works on towers monsters. I haven't actually tried it out. Interesting. I'd assume it would work because your opponent chooses it and gives it to you. It's kind of like what is it, Abyss Designator or something? Wait, I need to find what it's called. It's this one. It's Herald of the Abyss. Abyssal Designator sends from hand or deck. This one outs some towers monsters. So yeah, you can steal their monster. And the really interesting thing is, since this is level 6, if you take a monster that also has a level, so unfortunately not a Link or the Shangri, you can overlay it for Sheridan. Since if you use a monster with a level that is owned by your opponent for the Exceed Summon of this card, you can treat it as a level 6. So that lets you out one of their leveled monsters non-destructively. And once per turn, you can detach material here, and then you can target and send a card your opponent controls to the graveyard. And you can also detach material to like get back one of their monsters if it's sent to the graveyard. So really interesting. Really like that. Other things we have in here are Chaofeng. You just make a Earth Chaofeng off of Zefraxi and Zefraniu. This turns off, well, I mean, I guess Emancipators are dead, but it turns off, I think Unicorn is the cash. That's an Earth, right? Fenrir, my bad. It's Fenrir. This gets its effect turned off, so that's pretty nice. Anything else? Here we have the Nirvana High Paladin. Pretty interesting. Basically, you use this to just recover a card from your graveyard to your hand. In most cases, this would be Zefra Path, and then you can just reactivate Zefra Path and shuffle back the High Paladin, so you have access to that recovery as well. Barricade Blocker is here not for Auroradon, but also for the same reason. You get to recover your Zefra Path by discarding. It does take a while, but at least you have access to getting it back. Lambda is just a generic Link 2 to turn on Gamma if you control monsters. Something very important to note is you cannot activate Gamma under Path unless you have the driver in your hand. So you also have to kind of play around your own path a bit. Gamma's just too good to not run, really, in my opinion. E-Tele also gets it out, but not under Path unless it's in your hand again. We also have the Boral Sword for the OTK lines. Since it's a bit easier to make in this deck, Electromite, of course, is just really good. Also good hand trap bait. We aren't running Astrograph here or anything because there isn't really anything to do with it. So it's kind of awkward. And then we have the Gravity Controller. You can use this to get rid of your Denglong. If you want to summon something else from the deck, you can use this to out something like an Avermax, or if your opponent for some reason puts like a Shangri or an Arise Heart in the EMZ, stuff like that. Very nice. Yeah, and the rest of it is just more or less normal Zefra stuff with some non-engine. You might be able to cut some of it. I'm running Droll because I've been searching for Maxi a bit off of the Croco Dragon play, but it just hasn't been resolving as much, and I think Droll is just Also a massive turn ender. Also works under Path, which something like Nibiru doesn't, Gamma doesn't. I think Duel is just one of the better blowouts in that case. Yeah, of course, Maxi is just too good to not run, right? We have the Gamma here, running Lava Golem since we don't actually need our normal summon. Our only normal summon in the deck is the Diva. Also have 1 Talons and 1 Thrust. I only own 1 Thrust. Might consider running more otherwise. I guess it gets us to Providence or War. I don't think it has as much value. Could also consider maybe even cutting this. And then Book of Moon just because it's good into the decks that we currently have. Alright, without further ado, let's hop into some game. Alrighty then, for the first game, I've been running some other techs I've been experimenting with. Like in this list, I was still on Dimension Shifter. Doesn't come up here. I was also on some Time Lords. What's really interesting is Camion and Zaphion are actually pretty decent tech options. They take your normal summon, which you don't use anyways, and Camion non-target shuffles, and your opponent can't respond. Unfortunately, it's at the end of the battle phase, but still pretty good. And Zaphion, the blue one, at the end of the battle phase, it shuffles back all back row your opponent has into the deck. So that's also pretty big. It's kind of good against Lab, actually. But I cut it because I don't think it's that good against the rest of the decks. Yeah, so you saw the turn 1. Very standard. Getting the counter trap, getting Path, and I search for a Maxi here. I was going to just go through some Kashtira lines here. And for some reason, he's on Branded Regained. Wasn't really expecting that, to be honest. But he goes into Shangri here. He's going to set 2 and pass. I'm just going to use the Croco Dragon here. Kamion's dead here. And Zefra and Pilika. It's kind of unfortunate because this is how you get your Zephyrs back from the graveyard. But they don't usually go there. And you can't use it under Path either. So we're popping this. It's the Big Bang. Yeah, good thing I got rid of that. And I'll just fire off the Maxi here since he's special summoning here. Yeah, he's going to special the guy from his hand here. And what's really important is you can see Shangri didn't actually summon anything. That's because it summons from the deck, and that is not the hand or the extra deck. So Path just stops that completely. I also happen to draw into Lava Golem, which just completely ends this man's career. And I'm pretty sure he just surrenders here. This next replay right here shows off some of the more unconventional things that Zefra can do that your opponents won't expect. It's also one of the big strengths of this variant. Literally no one has seen any of the cards you're playing here. So, of course, we just hit Call By on the Maxi here. There's you can also consider keeping the Call By if you think it's good against your deck. I don't think it's that good this meta, so I might as well just fire it off on the hand trap here, right? But you only really need to give them 1 draw with this hand, right? Like, assuming they had nothing else, I would just send Zefranio, and then I just pend out Zefranio, get Path, and I have Path, Divine Strike, and they get a draw. And I still have the Call By. But I think it's better to just use it here. I'm going to do what I just said anyways. Sum this out. And he has the Imperm. Kind of unfortunate. We go into Electromite, and this is where it's like a little awkward, right? There's not really any payoff for this. I mean, I'm just getting Zefrath to hand. So I have it for next turn. And I'm getting a draw. Now, I don't want him to draw 2 cards since I don't think Divine Strike can play into 5 cards. So go to some cash stuff here. Go. If we draw off of Electromite, which is pretty funny, we get the Diva. Not really sure what he's doing here. Hand must have been really atrocious. And we draw the Gamma, which is really nice. And I'm going to use it here. I know it doesn't destroy it, but this gets me the bodies. It gets me a tuner as well, and it stops him from getting interruption. He books this immediately, and now this shows off why the diva is so good. So we're going to summon the guitar, banish 2, right? And now this is really, really awkward. What happens with this deck sometimes is you get rid of, like, you clear your deck of high scales too early. And I misplayed it a little bit by sending my high scale with Electromite, and I banished the other high scale, which is also level 4, off of War. Sorry, not War, off of the Divine Strike. And this is really awkward since in this position, like my best way of outing this is to get Zefraxiton off of Zefra. It's not going to happen, unfortunately. So I have to send the other Teller Knight and search my second Zefrath off of Oracle to make a low scale here. Now we're going to use these two just to link it off so I can get more bodies from the extra deck. It's just for arrows right now at this point. And this will give me my 4. And this will just add me back my Zefrania here. This is where it gets really spicy. Since I got my 4 now and I have my level 2 tuner, I get to make Horus. I'm just going to chain block it for fun. You don't have to use both effects. But I'm just going to take it away, and I get to link it off. And any monster with 2k in attack position plus Boral Sword is just OTK here. Just make sure you use Boral Sword's effect after attacking with that monster. This duel here is a bit longer. It shows off the grind power this deck has. So we're just going to go for the usual. Make sure to search for Providence to search for Path, since Providence can protect Path from back row destruction. And here we also go into our Earth Chaofeng to turn off the Fenrir or something that might come out. So we just get Kaiju'd, and then he has the Fenrir. Makes me really sad, honestly, but it is what it is, right? Turns out he's on Cyber Dragons here, so that's pretty awkward. Just gets Contact fused off. Some crazy line here. Makes Verte. He summons another guy. So we know he has Sidra in hand, and he has a Fenrir and one more unknown. So of course we're not letting Anaconda resolve, because I would die. He sent Overload Fusion. I'm 100% dead. Here he sets the unknown card. Actually, maybe we know what it is. I don't even know. Fortunately, we draw the brick here, but it's fine. We'll just sum this out. It's an Imperm. Actually, also a Cyber Dragon card. Pretty funny. It's Cyber Dragon Infinity. Yeah, so this unfortunately doesn't resolve. And since I know he can just Contact fuse off my machines and my EMZ, I'm setting a card face down since it's not in the extra monster zone, and it's also not a machine. Clockwork Knight makes all face-up monsters machines. So he tribute summons for Cyber Dragon to attack into my set. And he sets another one. We still know this is Fenrir in hand. Nothing really happens here. I don't think he can kill me with this either. Fenrir can't summon. I'm just going to pass. Now he kills this, which is nice. To get a search for Providence here. Sets another card. And we grab the call by. Use Providence here for Oracle. Just do like a bit of deck thinning. Get the field spell on the board. Search for some stuff. And what's really interesting is if a card in your Pendulum Zone is destroyed, Zefra Path also destroys itself. But Zefra Naga bounces it to hand. So it doesn't actually destroy it, and I get to have Zefrath for a guaranteed follow-up. Plus I can just use it to chain block all my other effects that I want to resolve. So we're searching for War here, and we're going straight into Denglong. That's why we also run it. It's a level 2. I'm going to set a bunch of cards since I don't think I can actually fight him here. Let's go to battle phase. Now, I don't know what this is about. I don't care. He's targeting Chaofeng. I really don't care, so I'm just going to let it resolve. And turns out it was some kind of Hail Mary bait for his evenly matched that I will 100% just negate here. Goodbye. Alright. And here, he contact fuses off my Denglong. If you're wondering why I didn't summon anything, it summons it from the deck, and I'm under path, so it doesn't summon at all. Now, I intentionally put the War in the pen zone because I know I can 100% activate this, just to like clear Knight, worst case scenario, right? To free up my pen zone again. And here it's actually best case scenario because this card does absolutely nothing, and I really want to get rid of Clockwork Knight. So I just pop it here, and he surrenders, seeing how he's getting completely outgrinded right now and doesn't really have a chance anymore. Alrighty, here's another grindy game against Cash. I feel like they're just better to show off what the deck could do rather than just path locking ninjas. Which, I mean, it's kind of funny. It's a free win, but I don't need to show it off. So here we get deck knowledge off the Diva. We know they're playing Cash. So there's a few different lines we can go for. I'm just going to make the Denglong first, search the counter trap. Here you go. Book of Moon already almost just clears the entire deck anyways. Okay, and at this point, there's a few different things we can go for. So I could either Earth Chowfang them, but then I have to give up on path because it would shuffle either back the Denglong or my Chowfang. I could Croco Dragon to search for Droll, which I didn't have in my deck at the time yet. So I'm just going to Croco Dragon search for Maxi here. And what else is really interesting? Make sure you don't mess up your chain links, right? What else is really interesting is that path shuffles back the Croco Dragon, so I can use it to search something else again. Like if I need to search for, say, a Lava Golem or something, or if I was running Kaijus. I might consider Kaijus over Lava Golem maybe. I don't know. Maybe 1-1. We'll see. Shotgunning this, of course, since we know it's Cash. And they have the cross out. I'm pretty sure they don't play Droll, for the most part, at least. So, Droll might have been better here. Yeah, revealing a whole lot of non-engine here for the most part. And going battle phase. I'm letting all this resolve because none of this actually does anything, really. Like, nothing's really threatening me here. Just going to the Shangri here. I already have my scale set, so I don't really care. He doesn't get to summon anything off of Shangri because of path. He's banishing a few cards from my graveyard. I don't really mind it. We're just going to add the War to hand. I can activate this from the hand since I have 2 Zefra scales. So whenever I use my counter trap, which is now because I really don't want him to get that, since it could out my path or something. And here, I don't want him to hand rip me either. So we're just going to pop that with the War. Search another War. It is a hard once per turn. And important here is I Book of Moon it before it battles. I could always just Book of Moon it later, I guess, right? But the thing is, he's going to go into Zeus with main phase 2 prio. So you might think, oh, okay, doesn't matter as long as it's sometime in the battle phase. But if he has a way, somehow, he still has normal summon, for example, if he has another way to get another Exceed out, one of the Exceeds already battled. So if he had, what is it, Fenrir, add Rise Heart, special Rise Heart out, go into second Changri, make Zeus, I pretty much just lose on the spot. So I need to make sure no Exceed monsters battle this turn, which is why the timing of Book of Moon here is fairly important. Alright, I'm just going to pop the Unknown here. It's Call of the Grave, don't really care. I also want to clear the Zefra path so I can get my E-Telly live, which is also the reason I'm popping the scale there. Wait, could I have... I guess I could have just popped the path. Maybe that was the plan. I get to keep the scale and I get to keep another body. That might have been better, actually. Alright, and here we pop this, get rid of that, get the Divine Strike, clear up our EMZ, go for a Horus, steal his monster here, and just smack him for a bit of damage and have a counter trap here. Now he opens tier cache here. Gonna use all the effects. I don't care. None of them really contest anything. Duelist, of course, does, so that's getting counter trapped. And he goes to crash here. Probably the right play, to be honest. Draw the maxi. Doesn't really do anything. We'll just like get back some of our resources here. Attack for a bit of damage. Alright, he sets one and passes over. So I'm feeling kind of on a high horse here. What I probably should have done here is Zefra for Electromite, pop Oracle, grab another body bag. Might have been better than this. But at the same time, I can't actually pen out the maxi either, so yeah. So we go to attack here, attacking with Shangri some petty, and I get Book of Moon on this. So this is kind of unlucky. I'm not running Apo or anything, so I'm not running. Am I running IP? I don't think so. Yeah, I'm not running IP either, so I kind of have nothing here. But fortunately, he doesn't either. So I just win here. Of course, attacking with the Shangri first. Very important. And we pick up the win here. And last but not least, we have the previously teased Ninja game. It's just a short one. They can't really play under path to begin with. And I pen 2 here. For some reason, he imperms this guy. Not sure why. I just search for 9 pillars, get path, set 9 pillars, and you can't really do anything. It's gonna activate this. Pretty sure this can set a ninja monster from the deck. Yeah, but it can't under path, so it kind of really doesn't do anything at all. Gonna go into Electromite here. This again does nothing at all. I don't care. Also, Zefra is a Yangzing card. So 9 pillars is actually still live, even though I linked off both of my Yangzing monsters. Important to note here. Not like it really matters because he doesn't have anything, right? But we get some searches, we get some follow-up, add this guy back to the hand, make him a tuner, and using these guys we'll be making Horus. We'll be stealing his monster. He only has 1 anyways. And now, as you can see, we used his monster here, even though it's level 1, to make the Sheridan since we stole it, which is pretty cool. And he just surrenders here, I think. At the end, since I made the Exceed using my Yangzing, I get to draw a card and discard a card off of the Oracle. And since I stacked Maxi to the top off the Synchro effect when I made Horus, I effectively get to search for the Maxi here. So you can use this to just search for any monster you want. This was definitely intended, and I was not just clicking buttons randomly and it happened to work out like this. Trust me. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. I'll probably be playing this a bit more in the Duelist Cup. I really enjoy this this play style. As you can see, it's a bit grindier, a bit more control. It's a lot more beginner friendly, also a lot more budget friendly, since you don't need to run any of like the high UR count additional engines. Like just going through this, you have the 3 Diva as an SR. You don't need the Droll. You should have Maxi anyways. I mean, Gamma Itelli is just nutty and very generic. You can run Kaijus over Lava Golem. All these cards are commons. You kind of need the Zefra core here. This is what makes the deck expensive. But aside from these, it's fairly inexpensive, honestly. You can cut these 2. The pot, you should have Call by anyways. These 2 are only SRs. Dinglong is super good. It is a UR, but it's super good. Horus, also only an SR. This is a flex spot. This is a flex spot. This is a flex spot. These are all technically flex spots. This is only an SR. You probably have a Baron anyways. This is a common. This is a UR. I pulled it like season 2 when I was playing Eldritch. Since the last time I played before Master Duel was 2011, right when the Exceeds came out. So I wanted to play a slower deck. But I had to recraft this now, unfortunately. But it's It's hilarious. It comes up. It has so much value. I really, really like this. And then you don't really need Electromite. I feel like it's not that much value. And you could, if you don't have Moral Sword, I think it's better than Access Code in this deck. Since you don't need to hit, like, it's kind of hard to hit Access Code plus 27 attack to OTK, but it's pretty easy to just make Moral Sword and have 2k. And that also gives you lethal. Plus, this is technically kind of interruption. It's pretty cope, but yeah. You can also attack into other things. I just think it's better in this deck, personally. But you can, there's a lot of like flex you can do in here. And the big difference between the pile variant and the control variant is the pile variant tests your skill with your deck, since you need to know all the little interactions and all the different engines you're running and how to play those to their fullest, when you go for what. And the control variant tests your knowledge of your opponent's deck. Where are the choke points? What outs to path do they even have? Basically where to interrupt it. And then you have all these nice niche interactions. Like, if you don't play Zefra, you've never seen at least half of these cards, right? You're not expecting whatever Deep Sea Diva's doing here. There's no way you've ever seen Horus into Sheridan. Nobody makes Nirvana High Paladin. This isn't played as much either. Nobody ever reads Path. It's so funny. Nobody's ever read the card in their entire life. So you have that as your advantage as well. Like the Croco Dragon stuff gives you a massive advantage as well. And like all the niche things you can make that just make it really awkward to play around, since no other deck puts up the same interruptions as this one does. There's no other card just like Path. There's no other decks that also consistently just end on counter traps. No one gets like the free pop from hand. Earth Choufing is really awkward for decks that have trouble with it, since nobody expects it or builds for it or anything. Then being able to just search for Droll or Maxi is crazy. I really love it. I really like how it's good this meta, but not like just FTK good like it was against Prank Kids or Auroradon meta, since Pearly and Cash can actually still play into this somewhat. Yeah, so a bit of a longer video this time. Hope you still enjoy it. Hope you learned something. And if you have any questions, just ask in the comments, and I'll be sure to try to answer them. Alright, that's it. See ya.